All right, my name is Niyi Akinmolayan, filmmaker and founder at Antil Studios. I am also the director of the film Lishabi. Well, I can't really say. I think it was just a transitional thing. So first, you start out doing stuff around media. Back in school, I used to get involved a lot in, graphics, video editing work, animation and the likes. So after a while, you start working with people, you work on music videos, you work on documentaries and the likes, and eventually you begin to pick an interest in narrative storytelling, the structured way in which films are told. I think my turning point would be sometime roughly 2005, 2006, when my boss then looked at me and thought that I always had a unique approach to some of my work, that felt like I cared about the stories behind them, and he suggested that I take up directing as a career, and the story, that's how the story goes. And what I did was to start thinking about the stories that I cared about and how to put them structurally into screenplays that eventually would make films. So if you calculate from my first film, this would roughly be about 15 years. But if you calculate from the time I actively started directing, it would be roughly 20 years. So Antil Studios started as a registered company in 2008. It was largely because I wanted people to take my company seriously. I wanted people to take the things we were doing seriously, and we had a very clear vision. We wanted to help make better Nollywood films. We wanted to be the backbone of a lot of Nollywood films, and in order to do that, you have to take yourself seriously. And my vision has always been to not be the one guy that they call to come and edit somewhere, was to have like a more structured organization where you have editors, animators and everything. So the moment you start thinking of this work as a business, you automatically start thinking about your brand, and Antil Studios is the brand, and the name was chosen for a reason, because it started out with a bunch of people that were really passionate about their work. They understood what they needed to do, they had a purpose, and just like ants, they were ready to work their ass off. So yeah, to be the biggest entertainment company in Africa. So there's been a lot of iteration for Antil Studios. When I first registered it, it was me and a couple of my friends from school, but I originally just registered it as a sole proprietorship, and I got them, involved, and you'd get some work, make some money, and then give a couple of them. All of them are now big boys doing, big things differently in the world. So there was the first iteration where we were 5. It was me and 4 more, and we went on to do our first film, then called Kajola, after which, a lot of them left to do other things. And then in 2011, I started back again. I used to be in Port Harcourt, then I came to Lagos, and then I started recruiting. We started out first getting more animators and editors, and we just built from there. So right now we're roughly about 32 people, in the studio. Lishabi. That's my first epic movie as a director, but as an executive producer, that would be King of Thieves. If we're going back and saying historical films are epics, yes.
We sure hope you enjoyed this video. For more entertaining video content such as behind the scenes of music videos and movies, music concerts, premieres, interviews, and exclusive gists, subscribe now to our YouTube channel Goldmynetv and be unleashed into a world of super excitement.